Chinese stocks closed higher on Wednesday. The benchmark Shanghai Composite Index went up 0.41%. Hong Kong stocks went up 0.32%. The 225-issue Nikkei stock average added 0.27%. Oil prices ended higher on Tuesday as investors were waiting the closely watched U.S. crude inventories data. Gold futures on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange rose on Tuesday amid a series of political and trade uncertainties in the world. The U.S. dollar climbed against most major currencies on Tuesday as investors were digesting the upbeat economic data from the country. Now let's take a look at agriculture futures. Here's Joe Veklovic in Chicago with the latest.
This is Joe Veklovic from the floor here at CME Group. The soybean market was under some pressure here on Tuesday. As a matter of fact, nearby futures contracts posted some fresh 12-month lows, taking out the lows that we saw this past summer. There are a number of bearish inputs into this market here recently. South American production may be the biggest one here short term. It is estimated that Brazil and Argentina combined will produce a record crop. It is probably going to eclipse the previous record from 2 years ago by a good 5 or 6%, if not more than that. Some of the crop estimates recently have been increasing and increasing, so we're not quite sure of the crop size, but we're pretty sure at this point that it's going to be a record. Secondly, USDA gave us their prospective plantings report this past Friday, and it is projected that U.S. farmers will plant record U.S. soybean acreage this spring. Soybean prices have been the most favorable when it comes to major crops here in the U.S., so farmers are looking to take advantage of that. Now, it must be said that soybean prices have fallen quite a bit since that survey results were compiled, so there's a chance that we could lose some of those acreage, but I would bet that it's still going to be a record acreage number here in the U.S. The next big thing is going to be weather. You know, what type of planting conditions are we going to see here in this country? What type of production is possible? Ultimately, what type of yield will we be able to put on our soybean balance sheets here in the U.S.? That's going to be the big wild card moving forward. So I feel like for the moment, you know, a good portion of the bearishness has been priced in. The funds have liquidated what was once a big long position, and now we're going to wait on U.S. weather and production possibilities. Joe Veklovic from the floor of CME Group.
Thank you very much, Joe. And we'll keep you updated on the daily agriculture futures. U.S. President Donald Trump has promised sweeping reforms to horrendous U.S. banking regulations that were introduced after the financial crisis. Trump says he is planning to give a major haircut to Dodd-Frank, referring to the Wall Street and the consumer protection rules Barack Obama enacted in 2010. Dodd-Frank aimed to prevent banks taking on too much risk and to separate their investment and commercial businesses. It was designed to resolve the too-big-to-fail problem, meaning banks facing collapse had to be bailed out rather than wind down. But Trump said he wants some very strong change to help the bank sector. Trump previously promised during his election campaign to relax the rules on big banks and subsequently ordered a review of the industry's regulations. U.S. Secretary of Transportation says the Trump administration is likely to roll out the ambitious infrastructure plan in the third quarter this year, with possible involvement of foreign companies. As a key part of his Make America Great Again campaign pledge, President Donald Trump has proposed investing $1 trillion over 10 years to upgrade the country's infrastructure. U.S. Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao said a plan of infrastructure repair and rebuilding could be rolled out in the next few months.
Well, it's $1 trillion over 10 years, and we are working on the outlines and the details, possible details of the infrastructure initiative. A package will be coming out later in the next several months. But this will be a third quarter initiative because the president had to go through Obamacare first and then tax reform, and the third issue is infrastructure.
The American Society of Civil Engineers gave the nation's overall infrastructure a grade of D+ in its 2017 infrastructure report card. The report projected that a total investment of $4.59 trillion would be required to lift the U.S. infrastructure from a D+ to a B grade.
Our infrastructure is deteriorating. To maintain America's competitiveness and also productivity, we need to address the deteriorating infrastructure of this country. And so this is one of the president's top priorities. It's not on my shoulders alone, because it also depends on the efforts of my fellow colleagues, fellow cabinet colleagues.
Chow said the individual states themselves will be given more autonomy regarding the money.
I think most people do not understand this. The Department of Transportation provides some of the funding for transportation systems. It's in a block grant. It is given to the states, and the states decide how they want to use the money. Furthermore, the states themselves come up with additional funding so that the federal government is not in charge of all of the infrastructure, all of the roads and bridges. It's only roads and bridges that are interconnected, intercommerce, interstate, that are actually overseen by the federal government.
The Trump administration is also aiming to cut red tape and shorten the process for an infrastructure project's review and implementation.
When a road is being built, it takes sometimes 15 years in America. Why is that? Because there are many other departments that are also involved. So it's all of us addressing the question as to why it takes so long to rebuild our infrastructure. How do we shorten that? But also, how do we repair our infrastructure?
Trump has repeatedly praised the developed infrastructure facilities in places like Dubai, Qatar, and China. Chow said the U.S. would certainly learn from other countries, adding that there are infrastructure technologies and skill sets that the U.S. doesn't possess. However, Chow said the potential involvement of foreign companies in new infrastructure programs is still a subject of discussion. As the only member of Trump's cabinet to have served in a previous administration, Chow is confident she can face the challenges ahead. German president has made a passionate plea in favor of the European Union during a speech at the European Parliament in Strasbourg on Tuesday. The president used his first major foreign policy speech as German president to emphasize the value of the EU and the importance of working hard to ensure its success.
Europe is a complex and demanding project. However, it is worth it. Our opponents who talk down Europe, we need to remind them that cooperation, growth, prosperity, and above all 70 years of peace, that is the pledge Europe makes to its citizens. But never in its history has this pledge fulfilled itself. It only happened when petty nationalism had given way to European cause. It's wrong to say, in my conviction, that in this world a European country can make itself heard or ensure its economic interests by itself. Quite to the contrary.
Concerning Germany's role in the EU, he reiterated that Germany wants to keep the EU together for a common future.
That's the message that I bring from my country. Yes, we want Europe. We want to build a better Europe. And we want to be a European Germany. Thank you.
The EU has faced pressure to reform and reassert its goals in the past couple of years, not least when the UK voted to leave the bloc in June last year. A new €50 banknote entered circulation on Tuesday. It is the fourth banknote in the Europa series issued by the European Central Bank. With over 9 billion notes in circulation, the €50 is the most widely used euro banknote, accounting for 46% of all euro banknotes. At the official launch ceremony, ECB President Mario Draghi said that cash remains essential in the economy, even in this digital age. Over 3/4 of all payments at the points of sale in the euro area are made in cash. The ECB president said holding a euro banknote and knowing that it can be used in 19 countries is a reminder of the deep integration Europe has attained. He added that support for the single currency is now comparable to the highs recorded in the pre-crisis period, in spite of the difficulties in recent years. The ECB also plans to issue a new €100 and €200 banknote around the end of 2018. However, the €500 banknote will not be included, with concerns that it could help illegal activities. Italy's employment figures improved again in February. The overall jobless rate fell slightly, while there is a much bigger decrease for the number of young people without work. The Italian National Institute of Statistics that the national unemployment was at 11.5% in February, a 0.3% drop from January. There was better news for the Italian youth. Unemployment among people aged 15 to 24 fell to 35.2%, down 2.7 points compared to the previous month, and 3.6% down on the year before. This is the lowest youth unemployment rate since August 2012, although it still stands at one of the worst in Europe. The institute says that just under 23 million people overall were employed in February, or 57.5% of Italy's population. Female employment in February rose by 0.3%, although the male rate fell by 0.2%. Chinese President Xi Jinping will travel to America and meet the U.S. President on April 6th to 7th. It will be their first meeting since Trump took office in January. In anticipation, we sat down with an expert from Nanjing University and asked what this meeting could mean for U.S.-China bilateral ties.
Statistics from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce show that about $520 billion of goods flowed between the US and China last year. China is America's largest trading partner, and America is China's second largest. However, despite this vast exchange, there are concerns of a possible showdown between the world's top two economies, with some in the US complaining about their trade deficits with China. Xu Feng, director of the Institute of International Relations of Nanjing University, believes such a scenario could not become a reality.
If both countries really just very recklessly get into some sort of, we say, a trade war, then that will be very notably harmful to both sides. Then it also could not just cause some sort of a new illusion of the jobs. That's what Trump is truly concerned with. It also will cause a very mounting, let's say, inflation of the prices and goods in the U.S. If the U.S. will open more, some sort of a purchasing area for China, then I think such a trade deficit will be dropping down. But the problem is, it's also a formidable test for the Trump administration if the White House would like to reinvigorate the trading relations. They should reconsider some sort of such a national security-based discrimination to China's, purchase capability.
Xu says the meeting could serve as a benchmark event for both countries, as a way to re-emphasize the key role globalization plays in moving forward.
I don't think the Trump administration would like to some sort of, anti-globalization, because no one can benefit. And the U.S. also couldn't stay away from the globalization. So the most important thing is, of course, it's also an unanswered test for two leaders. They should unequivocally just emphasize some sort of big necessity of continuing globalization. But the problem is, as for some sort of real format, norm, and even process, in terms of globalization, we could just put them into negotiation. So everything could be negotiable, but the most important thing is we needed to working together and sticking together.
Chinese vehicle manufacturer BYD opened its first European electric bus factory in the Hungarian city of Cameroon on Tuesday. BYD expected to invest a total of 20 million euros between now and 2018. Currently, the factory has 32 employees. It plans to increase the number to 300, who will be responsible for assembling up to 400 electric buses a year. The buses will be exported to customers across continental Europe. The company's initial products will be electric buses and coaches, followed by electric forklift trucks and light commercial vehicles. Hungarian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade stressed the government is aiming to make Hungary a suitable destination for production companies as well as research teams. Chinese ambassador to Hungary, Duan Jielong, said that Chinese investment in Hungary has reached $4.1 billion across chemistry, financing, communications, logistics, and automotive industry. This accounts for about 2/3 of China's total investment in Central and Eastern European countries, indicating Hungary is the most attractive country for Chinese investors in the region. Managing director at BYD Europe said his firm had chosen Hungary because of its central location and long tradition of engineering excellence. BYD is a leading high-tech multinational company and now operates in the 4 core fields of IT, automotive, new energy, and monorail after starting as a company that solely produced rechargeable batteries. More news from China. Over 11,000 small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, were listed on China's new Flipboard as of the end of March. According to the National Equities Exchange and Quotation System, 860 SMEs were added to it in 2017. The exchange now lists companies with a market value of about $645 billion. Trading on the new Flipboard has become more active since the beginning of this year. Weekly turnover on the board was about $1.08 billion in the past week, up 22% from a week ago. The system debuted in 2006 as an experimental platform for small non-listed high-tech enterprises in Beijing's Zhongguancun Science Park. The present system officially established in January 2013. An affiliated company under China's top train maker, CRRC Corporation, has acquired a subway train order from Nagpur, India. A total of 69 train coaches will be produced by CRRC Dalian for subway operations in Nagpur, the largest city in central India, according to an agreement signed by the company and the local subway company. The agreement also includes a 10-year train maintenance project. CRRC Dalian received its first train order in May 2015, providing 112 train coaches for the Calcutta subway. With more cities planning to build urban rail systems, India has become an important potential market for Chinese train makers. A China-Kazakhstan freight trade zone received about 1 million visits in the first quarter of 2017, according to local border inspection authorities. The Horgos International Border Cooperation Center on the China-Kazakhstan border in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region has seen an increasing number of tourists since 2012. Last year, a total of 5.4 million passed through the region. At just over 5 square kilometers, the center opened in April 2012 as a destination for cross-border shopping. It has more than 40 duty-free shops selling luxury brands such as Omega and Versace. The facility is the world's first cross-border freight trade zone and the biggest duty-free shopping center in West China. It allows entry of citizens from any country with valid passports or with exit and entry permits. Egypt's foreign currency reserves have reached $28.5 billion, the highest since March 2011. The increase was achieved amid Central Bank of Egypt, or CBE's success to shore up the country's foreign currency needs. An assistant to the CBE says it has taken delivery of 2 loans, a $1 billion from the International Monetary Fund and another worth $500 million from the African Development Bank. The news comes as Egypt looks to recover from an economic recession. In recent years, political instability and security issues have buffeted the country's tourism, foreign currency reserves, and foreign investments. In November 2016, Egypt floated its currency and adopted a 3-year economic reform program, including austerity and fuel subsidy cuts. The program was supported by a $12 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund, with the first batch of $2.75 billion delivered in November 2016. Technology is changing the world we live in. From driverless vehicles to supercomputers able to replicate a human's ability to answer questions, many have witnessed the achievement made by robotic technologies. Today, we'll show you the development of the technology and how it affects human lives.
Robotic technology development started in the 1950s, and today, this technology has been applied in various industries. The Spanish Center for Scientific Investigation, or CSIC, is playing a key role in a major international project, which is developing robots to make the process of clearing mines both faster and safer. The prototype has robotic arms in its front and a metal detector in its rear. It can scan the area and send a message to its base about the possible location of the mines.
As it has 6 legs, the robot can then carry on walking. If there is a mine, it can jump over it and continue with its work. It can move at around 0.3 meters a second.
The robotic technology is also widely applied in the area of medical treatment, intuitive surgical, an American company majoring in robotic-assisted minimally invasive surgery, and Fosun Pharma, a healthcare group in Shanghai, have announced a joint venture to research, develop, and manufacture innovative robotic-assisted catheter-based medical devices. The Da Vinci surgical system features a 3D HD vision system for clear and magnified view inside patient's body. The instruments bend and rotate far greater than a human wrist. The surgeon controls the robot, which translates his or her hand movements into smaller, more precise movements of tiny instruments inside the patient's body. It allows surgeons to perform complex and routine procedures through a few small openings, similar to traditional laparoscopy. Bionic robotics is the application of biological methods and systems found in nature to the study and the design of robots. Shanghai University in East China has unveiled a slew of bionic robots. They include Amoeba, which tries to model on an amoeba, a type of cell on an organism that has the ability to alter its shape. X-Dog, a small and low-cost quadruped robot, can walk, jump, and run. It may resist impact while keeping balance. Trafball 1 and Trafball 2 are rolling balls with legs inside. The balls can stick out their legs to climb stairs or overcome barriers. There are also Pro-Go, Mini-Quad 5, and Crawler. The study group of Shanghai University seeks to make robots move like animals. At the 2016 World Robot Conference, or WRC, in Beijing, a mature, skilled, human-like robot attracted great attention.
佳佳你好，你有男朋友吗？
你好，这个真没有。
佳佳你好，你会算数吗？1加1等于几？
这位先生，您笑起来的样子真好看。我会算一些简单的算术题。这个问题都不会的话，我不如拿块豆腐撞死。结果是2啊，很2的2啊。
This beautiful girl in traditional Chinese clothes have become a highlight. She's an intelligent robot named Jia, who looks very much like a real woman. The eye-catching robot was developed by a robot research and development team at the University of Science and Technology of China, or USTC, in Hefei capital of East China's Anhui province. It took the team 3 years to research and develop this new generation interactive robot, which can speak, show micro-expressions, move its lips, and move its body.
We selected dozens of girls in our university and finally chose 5 of them to form the facial model of Jia. Her skin is made of biomimetic materials, very close to human being. She even has blood vessel on her arms.
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第3，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。
Why do Chinese travel around the world? Have they been influenced by movies or by good books? Have they been looking at friends' pictures on social media? Maybe, but there's another reason. It's not so easy to set out on a whim. Most Chinese tourists are in the burgeoning middle class. A man must be brave to set off like that. Wait, that's not quite the right way to say it. because it's Chinese women who are more likely to be international tourists. Perhaps men would travel more after women have shown the way. In an information age, Chinese people use information tools to travel, to check plane tickets, hotels, restaurants, and whatever else. Where do Chinese travelers like to go? Usually they go to Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. Alert fancy destinations, here come the Chinese. There's a diverse range of natural and cultural destinations. When the Chinese head of state visits a country, it paves the way for new tourism to develop. Chinese travelers usually go to countries that feature breathtaking scenery and low-priced commodities where Mr. Xi Jinping has already been. Chinese travelers visit Japan's Fujiyama to appreciate the cherry blossoms and enjoy the stretched noodles and sashimi. Chinese travelers will also go to lengths to take in beautiful landscapes despite cold climates. Basically, the Chinese travelers will go to whatever destinations that are praised on social media. What do Chinese tourists like to do overseas? Frankly, they want to buy. It's like a shopping spree. Definitely, take my word for it, this is the first stage for Chinese tourists abroad. Gosh, no! Gosh, no! Gosh, no! What Chinese characteristics? Oh, this one. Thumbs up for the Chinese. Actually, Chinese travelers create a lot of local revenue and work opportunities. Tourism presents Chinese people to the world and the world to the Chinese. The last 30 years of economic growth has fueled the Chinese ability to travel abroad. Growing confidence about China facilitates travel for Chinese tourists.